everyone, and a very warm welcome to each one of you to what is undeniably one of the most historic moments for us, the 10th edition of Evolve in this dynamic city of Siliguri. I am Shuvendu, your host for the evening, and it's my absolute pleasure to be hosting the 10th edition of Evolve, which has continued to grow and evolve since its inception in year 2014. Evolve began as a multi-city knowledge series aimed at equipping our MSME customers with the right knowledge and banking solutions, critical for upscaling their business. We are grateful for the trust and the support of our MSME clients, having reached over 10,000 plus customers across 50 cities in the country in recent years. Siliguri is strategically transitioning from a transit and tea tourism hub to a dynamic MSME-driven growth center. Tonight, we celebrate this resilience and the creativity of the local businesses that have thrived in this dynamic environment. At Axis, we believe strength lies in adaptability, and we are here to equip you with the insights needed to navigate the future. The MSME segment over the last decade has seen tremendous growth and has cemented its position as a strong contributor towards India's trillion-dollar economy. And this also sets the context for our today's session on MSMEs powering the $10 trillion economy. Our journey over the last few years has been an interesting one and has helped shape our thoughts and blueprint for the MSME segment. As we continue to reach out to the MSMEs across various cities, we are proud of the legacy that we have been trying to create along with our partners. As we mark this decade-long milestone, we would like to highlight some of the key moments from our journey over the last 10 years. So friends, sit back for a power-packed evening. I would now like to invite Mr. Vijay Shetty, President and Head Commercial Banking Group, Axis Bank, to share his views on MSMEs powering the $10 trillion economy. Mr. Vijay Shetty is a seasoned banking professional with 27 years of experience, and he has been with Axis Bank since April 2016 as Head of Commercial Banking Group. Please welcome Mr. Vijay Shetty onto the stage with a huge round of applause.
Good evening, everybody. I think a warm welcome to all of you guys. Siliguri is one of the beautiful city. It's our privilege to come here and our first Evolve event for us. Evolve we started 10 years back. I think when Viksit Bharat or a digital India, that point of time MSME Make in India story is beginning of the story and 10 years back. That point of time, as Axis Bank, we wanted to invest in MSME, and we started this initiative. What exactly the reason? That point of time we thought, because when you want to grow MSME, it's very, very critical that we should understand the MSME's requirement and partner with them so that we can grow along with them. Today's world, when we see that we started with 10 cities, in Pan India 2010. Then we started in multiple cities, in the tier 2 cities, tier 3 cities. This year we have selected Siliguri because there are a lot of stuff happening in West Bengal. I think MSMEs also is growing here, and tourism is becoming one of the great initiatives for India. The domestic tourism is very, I think when I see the pre-COVID and post-COVID, when I see the numbers, the occupancy ratio is much higher than the pre-COVID and already reached, and domestic, in terms of the average per customer, the revenue for the hotel industries is growing drastically. So in India, when I look at today, it's 4.1 trillion economy, poised to become third economy in the world. And we are looking at, by 2032, we are looking at 10 trillion economy. Imagine we took almost 75 years to become 4.1 trillion. By 2032, we will become 10 trillion, means next 6 to 7 years, we are just doubling the numbers. Then the growth story, if we are looking at the 6.5 to 9.5 GDP, if we are growing, it's achievable. The only thing, how we can do it, it can't be done by unicorn. It can be done only with the MSMEs. You are the one who has to drive that. I think we are the proud one to be there, joining the Indian economy and growth engine for the economy. In China, when I look at it, today's Indian economy, MSME contributes around 30% of the GDP. In China, it is almost 60. But they have started this journey quite long back. We are catching up with them, but it's a long way to go. But very, very important is that I think the Prime Minister talking about Swadeshi piece where you should consume what we are growing, what we are manufacturing, we should consume. I think very, very critical. Then only your domestic consumption will grow up here and we can really grow the business there. And for that, I think setting up the infrastructure, ease of doing the business, most of the things can be done. In this platform, what we are trying to do that, we will gather your requirement, your feedback. We will place it in few of the platform. We also present as an organization in the MSME ministry or the IBA. So those are the feedback will be very, very useful for us to make sure that when we come back next time, when we are making any new product, it will be very, very useful for us. So in terms of the biggest pain point for MSME is in the large corporate, mid-corporate, the credit facilities, they are able to go to the bank, they understand, and the ability to fund, raising the fund is easier for them when I compare to the smaller, micro, small, and informal MSMEs. The biggest challenge for informal MSMEs or a micro or small, the understanding of the product, understanding of the balance sheet, and how to get a proper credit with a proper in terms of the better commercials. For that, you have to have a proper balance sheet. Today, when I see that in this particular, when I'm looking about East or West Bengal, we do a largest unsecured business digitally. Sole prop customers are taking 5 lakh, 10 lakh, 20 lakh. We could able to disburse within 3 minutes. The reason is their digital print. After the COVID, I think we could see that most of us, I don't think we don't carry a cash today as an individual. When I'm paying to a rickshaw driver or any shop, today always I do a digital transaction. Earlier, I'm not aware what is his income. Today I can say that boss, his income is so much, I can do a cash flow based lending methodology, I can fund him. And the same thing, maybe your MSMEs, your supplier or the contract you give it to the other smaller team where the banking behavior is getting changed there. And he is getting the cash credit, he is able to supply, he is able to procure the materials and supply to you. Also, your own segment, maybe in the balance sheet, your credit flows are very good. We are able to underwrite the balance without a balance sheet also. And also in India, if you look at that, the manufacturing segments or the service sector or key growth maybe in the FDI investment is coming to India is happening very big way. And I think in the East, I think central government is taking a lot of initiative to connect the entire corridor here. I think down the line, what I foresee that if the connectivity has become great here, I think the growth factor will come here. When I see the overall MSME, number of registration in the MSME, we have almost 6.3 crores of MSMEs. Last 5 years, these MSMEs are growing multiple times. The government initiatives in terms of the MSMEs also quite large. In terms of the CGTMSE, in terms of the ECLGS scheme, I think it's very, very good initiatives. That's one of the reasons I can see that when the COVID hit happened, ECLGS scheme as one of the best initiatives the government has taken it. In the same way, CGTMSE scheme is also very good initiative where customers not having a collateral, they can take the limit from the bank and it is priced very, very effectively. And also when I see the West Bengal, if I see that it's the 6th economy in the ranking wise, and 20.3 lakh of GDP. It's a quite large chunk of, for an Indian economy, they are contributing it. And it's almost 2.9% of the shares coming from economy is coming from the export. Yes, today's world, export is considered very tricky. I am sure my colleague Vijay will talk about more on that, what's happening in this world, what is the, maybe some of the feedback may be useful for you guys. Overall, when I see the industry in the MSME industries and number of registration, total 45 lakhs of registered MSMEs are in West Bengal. And it's quite large, it's not small. When I see that when all the MSMEs, this is only informal. In India, when I'm saying 6.3, 330 million are not registered till now. And they are doing business. But they are not registered and they are not able to, possibly the understanding is difficult. That's where the bank is helping. We have come up with a digital journey when he's opening a current account or a lending. We can register Udyam with a click of a button. So we are integrated with the Udyam and API integration is there where the customer consent, we send all the details of the customer, he can get registered. These are the things, initiatives the bank has taken on that. Overall in the West Bengal, when I see that the tourism is the biggest industry, tea, I think it's a tea capital, and agro is the biggest industry in the segment. And also when I see that light engineering and packaging, as a bank, tourism is one of the initiative we are taken as a COE initiative. It's a center of excellency. What we do here, how we can help and drive this business. When I give an example, the tourism can be anything. It can be a medical tourism, it can be a spiritual tourism, it can be a hotel industries. What we are trying to do, how we can make sure that entire ecosystem works for us. The overall, when I see that today, Kashi Vishwanath temple, what we are trying to do there, the integration of the Kashi Vishwanath, the network, and the customer is walking in, we are able to guide them what has to be done there, and the display and interaction, their payment thing. If I give one simple example, the temples take donations, right? Today donation comes in, normally you have to go there and take a receipt. As a bank, if I integrate with any temple trust, I can give a QR code. If you QR code and give the details, he can transfer the funds directly to the customer trust account. And also there is a biggest problem for trust is like, you can't accept more than 50,000. Then the TDS, you have to give a PAN number details. Here he can automatically update and he can get the credit. So it becomes easier for that temple trust as well as the entire ecosystem we can help them. In India, I think your total contribution for tourism is 12%. When I see the Indian in GDP, I think the biggest industry when I look at it, MSME is giving 30% contribution. Tourism can be a much higher contribution to Indian GDP. Because I think when I see that before COVID, number of tourists coming to India is much higher than today. The reason is the way maybe the government of India has to work on that. Maybe a possibility is like if you're able to popularize Indian market, the type of the entire, like Siliguri is a place, the foreign tourist comes, then obviously GDP will grow. I think it's very important how we really market India as well as abroad. That's very, very critical for us. And as a bank, what we are trying to do, entire ecosystem, we will build that. It will help in terms of giving a solution to the customer. We are trying to do some of the partnership with the fintech where we can tie up with the hotel as well as the in terms of the ERP solution to the hotel in terms of integrating their system and the bank. That will help their cost of transaction, how easy of doing business we are trying to do that. We started MSME almost when the bank, we are really focused on that. And we wanted to go every ecosystem, starting with the startup and till the large corporate. Whether it is a micro or a small or a medium ecosystem, entire tailor-made products are there. And when I see that, for a MSME, if it is a shop owner, I can give him a product starting with the unsecured loan digitally for 5 lakh, 10 lakh without a paper. From there, in the entire ecosystem, maybe as somebody's manufacturer, I can fund him entire packing credit or export finance or anything in terms of the ecosystem. If it is a greenfield project, we can fund him. The whole system, we have created a vertical, we have created a specialists so that it can be easy of doing business for the MSMEs. Overall bank, we have almost 2.3 lakh crores of book. That means we are almost grown in terms of 26%. As an industry is grown around 11 to 12%. So we could able to double that growth because focused approach. And when I see that, if you see that micro, we are growing at 29%, and also the medium and small also is growing in a very decent way. And overall market share of Axis Bank is almost 8.3%. So what we are doing here is, when we started a small segment, like Government of India has given a lot of push for the MSMEs, we could able to give a solution to customer. One is with the tailor-made products, complete expansion. It is like somebody's, I told you before, somebody's not having a balance sheet. Can I fund him a 5 crores or a 3 crores funding? We can do that. Based on your behavior of the banking, based on your GST, we can underwrite your credit repayment, and we can able to fix the loan. And also we have multiple solutions, like each MSME customer we have called Neo for Corporate is a product where we able to give you a complete end-to-end solution. Somebody is having a ERP, we can integrate APIs, and we can make sure that entire transaction ease of doing business for all of us. So just to give an example, like even Neo for business or Neo for corporate, if you are using a Tally, we can integrate Tally with your accounting system, and ease of doing, like if you are sending one payment by your invoice has to be, then the customer can pay directly. And whether it is a PayPro or your bulk upload, all those transactions can be done easily. The important for any MSME is, one is taking the lending. Second, that onboarding process has to be clean. Then the ease of doing at the branches, whether you have to go to the branch, whether I can do it at office. I think today's world, I think most of the things can be done at sitting at office. I think Neo for Corporate and Neo for Business is done for that. As a bank, I think one important thing, everybody does the business for a creation of wealth. As a bank, we have created a Burgundy Private as a wealth management product. This is one of the best product in the industry. We have almost asset management of around 70,000 crores, and I'm sure most of you guys are taking this service. It's a very important for understanding, like today in a wealth management, whether somebody want to invest in a company, you can't do directly. The bank can help you in terms of investing in the right company or investing in a mutual fund and management team. We have a multiple subsidiary company where Axis Bank Mutual Fund, they can help you. Not only it's not selling mutual fund, it is investing in a company in a large chunk. They can help you in that. And as Axis Bank Burgundy Private, they will help you to get it to the right person and interact with them. Maybe they can help you, you are doing maybe you are dividing your company and how it has to be done. Legal advice is required. They can help you in that. So one of the best product, our team is here. I think today evening, anytime when at the dinner, you can interact with them. Also, we have we have put up a deck outside where you can understand Neo for Corporate, Neo for Business, experience that. Today, I think Power Pack panelists are there. I'm sure it will be useful to all of you there inside, because they are done there in life something better and something good for the MSME. Maybe my colleague Vijay is there on the treasury side. He'll give some insight about what's happening around. I'm sure today's evening will be very useful. Need your feedback and make sure that this is one of the great events for us. Thank you.
Thank you, Vijay, for your valuable insights. Moving on, we all know how critical it is for a business to know not only about the immediate factors that can immediately affect it, but also understand how the market outlook can impact their growth. It is my pleasure to welcome Mr. Brajesh Chalil, EVP and Head Treasury Market Sales, Axis Bank, to share his views on the current market outlook. Vijay has extensive experience of over 2.5 decades in the banking sector. He joined Axis Bank in early 2020 and currently heads the Treasury Market Sales vertical. Please welcome Vijay onto the stage with a huge round of applause.
So as Vijay said, it's my first time also in Siliguri, and it's a beautiful place. I've really enjoyed the little time that I've been here. So warm welcome to all of you. And I think we've spoken about Evolve, which is effectively our way of celebrating MSME, also empowering them. We see a lot of large corporates in Mumbai and other cities, but the truth is today, and we'll discuss it in more detail, but I think India's race to a 10 trillion economy is actually not happening only in boardrooms of Bombay or larger cities. It's happening in tea estates, it's happening in smaller companies, it's happening in mid-corporate and MSMEs like yourself. So first of all, thank you for helping India get to that place. Today, what I will try to do over the next 15-20 minutes is use this platform to try to help you navigate what's happening in India, what's happening globally. We obviously don't know your business. You know your business better than us, but maybe some of these tips might be a bit useful. It sounds like a very boring topic. When I started this Evolve series, when I was presenting, tariff sounds like a very, very boring piece to start up with. But today, I think, everyone knows this word tariff. There was a time when I used to use Reuters, Bloomberg, try to get updated. But now all I need is Twitter or some social media to find out what is happening. So Mr. Donald Trump is bearing down on us. 50% is the latest. So you can see on this slide, pre-Trump, it's not that we were not paying tariffs. We were paying, about 3 to 4% of tariff, which was costing us about $2.3 billion. It went up then to 10%, which was the baseline because of Section 232. That cost us 6.1 plus the 2.3 billion. About 3 weeks ago, we are already on the 25% increased tariff. This is not the penal tariff. So the cumulative cost for us is 10 plus 6 plus 2. We're almost at about $18 billion. And then on 28th August, if we don't solve the problem, then we're going to hit by another 25%, which is $14 billion of cost. Sectors impacted, I've shown you, obviously you can see jewelry, clothing, but there are other sectors which are, I'm more worried about those, which are not put in here, for example, pharma. So there's something called a Section 232, which you should all be aware of. So what Trump has done is iron, copper, all of these are already at 40-50%. They're on Section 232. Section 232 is a US law which actually allows him to increase tariffs, but those are done with some thought, I would say at least. What he's using right now are emergency powers, which is very debatable, and hopefully we think more negotiation tools than actual tariffs. So in Section 232, there are two items which are of importance. One is auto components, which is already, has got about 25%. He's also going to charge 25 to 50% on electronics. So India has become a net exporter of mobile phones. It's going to hurt us. Last week, he spoke about 200% on the pharma industry, and that will hurt us. But I think it will hurt the US more because, if Trump does his homework, he'll probably realize that 50% of all generics imported by the US is coming from India. So I think it will probably, hopefully not happen. So anyway, tariffs, this slide is very pertinent. But let's just go back a bit and see, the history of tariffs. And I just wanted to give you a sense of what is happening. You can see the top left slide. In the last, I would say, 15 years, you can see how industrial policy has shifted. There used to be only about globally 34 industrial policies. This data is only till 2022. It's already shot to 1,500. By the time we get world data on industrial policies for 2025, this number would have at least quadrupled. And why this is important for all of you as MSMEs, when you talk to your, lobby groups, it's important because industrial policy is the most paramount thing now. It impacts the tariffs, whether your sector gets into Section 232, gets impacted or not. So that also shows the number of industrial policies as a part of government policy. Earlier it used to be only 8%. Today, any government in the world, 1/3 of all their policies is industrial policy. Why is all this happening? Actually, if you ask me, it is US versus China. We are collateral damage somewhere in the middle. So you can see this just in 2005. China was 5% of world manufacturing. You can see EU and US about 20-25%. Of course, we went through globalization phase and it's completely flipped, even on in the share of percentage of companies who are dealing with US and now dealing with China. And yes, it looks logical that China has taken manufacturing and it makes some sense. But what you have to understand is, in some sense, what Trump or Biden was saying is not wrong. They've shifted jobs. They've shifted wealth. China is holding $1 trillion plus in reserves. That trade surplus does mean something. Again, history repeats itself. This is a chart. You can see this. There were two gentlemen, Smoot and Hawley. This is an old chart, but what I just wanted to show you, we've all heard of, the Great Depression, which happened in the US in 1929. And some smart politician then said, the best way to get out of recession, let's lay tariffs. All 20,000 goods that were imported into the US, they just levied 60% tariff, thinking that's the solution. Actually, that pushed the world into further depression. So the world depression actually continued. It's considered one of the world's the largest economic blunders. And it's clearly being repeated right now. And see, tariffs impact people in many ways. You can see, we've tried to show you the impact on investments, consumption, trade balances. Yes, trade balances will get positive, right? Because Trump doesn't want his trade imbalance to be there. It will get corrected. But the impact on everything else is negative. On GDP, on consumers, because the tariff goes on to the consumers finally. But the worst, as businessmen tomorrow, if this tariff war continues, it will change your sentiment to invest. And that investment doesn't change very easily. So this is what, at least I'm afraid of. I hope that, this tariff scenario moves on and we continue with our investment journey. People think it's the end of globalization, all of this, but just want to let you know that global trade is on a high. Only thing that has changed is, earlier used to have multilateral policies, which used to cover all of EU, all of Europe, all of US. What you are now seeing is one-on-one agreements. So India with EU, India with Italy, India with Germany. So it's bilateral agreements. You can see how they've climbed. The bottom two charts is, like I showed you the Smoot and Hawley, where they had kind of increased tariffs. This was phase 2 of that. And again, if history repeats itself, we will probably see a repeat of this. This is, we call it the weaponization of tariffs. Phase 2, weaponization of currencies as a reaction to tariffs. When America in 1930, took tariff to 60%, what did all the countries do? They just depreciated their currency by that much. They just devalued their currency. And by the way, that time you had the gold standard. So technically, agar aap, $1 billion की currency print कर रहे हो, you have to have that much in gold. So people said, to hell with the gold standard. You have increased tariffs, I will depreciate my currency, offsetting it. And funnily enough, America also joined it and got off the gold standard. So if tariffs don't solve, weaponization of currency, which means rupee, for example, there's no reason why rupee can't go to 120 then. Not a great story from exporters maybe, but from importers it's a worrisome thing, and obviously it makes you poorer as a country. But this is what happened. And countries have learned. So if you look at the other chart, the countries that moved fast on devaluation and getting off gold standard were the countries that benefited. So people are watching. That's why I said currency is the next kind of move. Thankfully, we are right now in a government which I would say is moving very, very swiftly, and is also tying up very, very smart agreements all across. You can see in the last 5-7 years, the number of FTAs that we've signed with multiple countries. So if you see the top block, India is fast signing agreements with countries which are of meaning, of size, where we have maximum export-import. So, and if you look at how FTAs will just change for India, $440 billion of trade. Just earlier, we had only 120 billion out of this, which was through bilateral trade agreements. In the next 1 year, that number will, 200 billion will get added to that number. So point I'm trying to make is, bilateral agreements, tariffs are here to stay, and it's the next big thing. A lot of you are, obviously MSME, and again, just want to show you that how the government is helping, and that is the PLI program, 14 PLI programs, 2.1 lakh crores. So again, if some of your sectors get added, and if the government wants to push it, it's great. Make in India is the, you can see that India's share of merchandise, while it's a good story, I look at it as a potential story. We have 18% of the world population. We are, already 4.1 trillion, so roughly in a 100 trillion economy, we are about 4%. But our manufacturing base is still only 2. I think there's huge room to grow. Services has been a very good story. You've seen how the services move has happened, from 2 to 4%. But I think what is happening in services, people are going to the high-end services. They're not doing low-end services anymore. And that has jumped from 4% to 8%. So what I'm trying to hope that you will take a leaf out of that is, don't just manufacture, don't just export. Try to go to the high end. What Singapore did, what Taiwan has done. Start moving up the curve for richer margins, because that is effectively where the sweet spot is. Again, quite proud of this slide. This shows the amount India has committed to spending, for example, on semiconductors. From an amount perspective, it might, barely be 10 billion compared to EU and US, 20-30 billion dollars. But as a percentage of GDP, we are matching it. 0.3% we've committed. Of course, China's doubled that. PLIs. Just wanted to show you one impact of this. The graph in the middle shows electronics. Apart from oil, we were hugely importing electronics. That has plateaued. And if you go further, that's mobile phones. India is a net exporter of mobile phones. And this is, in 10 years, it has gone up 125%. So 125 times, right? So the point I'm trying to make is PLIs and, government thrust and push definitely help. Very quickly moving on to the economy. So we keep comparing ourselves with China, and I thought it's pertinent to just show you. I just projected, I said, if we all live for 30, 40, 50 years more, will we ever overtake China at the pace we're going? We won't, clearly. But you can see the top left, we'll definitely narrow the gap. So that's India, China's growth projections, which we've projected out. The graph on the top left is something that I want us all to consider, because, it's nice to say I'm a 10 trillion economy, hopefully in 4-5 years. But the real quality, if you ask me, is the equality in it. So today, our per capita GDP is barely $2,500, right? So you have China at about $13,000. US is not even there on the graph, because they're at about $89,000 to $90,000. That is the per capita what an American has or earns, right? I think, and that is why we are very proud of this MSME movement, because it will enrich people on the ground. Most of you are promoters, CFOs, CEOs. What is GDP? GDP is effectively, labor, capital, and productivity. So I think on terms of labor, we are broadly plateaued out, and I'll explain why in more detail. The point we're trying to make on this graph is that I think you should now, the idea is to focus on capital, and effectively on labor. What we are saying is the quality of the labor. So obviously training, it'll take time, but if we improve the quality of our labor through trainings, and if we improve the amount of capital and in the right level, in the right areas, I think that's what will take our GDP towards that 10 trillion economy. This is, we keep, heard this many times, that we have a demographic advantage I just want to show you that slide on the left, graph on the left. That advantage won't stay with us forever. That is why I projected that, growth out of only up to 25, 30 years. So I'd say about, age group from about, maybe 10 to about 45. You can see that's where the bulge is. So I think later this bulge will start shifting downwards. So we've got about 25, 30 years, because before what is becoming a demographic advantage for 25 years will start becoming a disadvantage, because obviously a lot of us will get older and we'll fall into the latter brackets, and longevity of life and all of that, and effectively we will move towards being like a China or a Japan. But what is heartening is, if you, and all the ladies in the room can, give yourself a pat, you can see the female participation in the labor force is really going up. It's gone up from 20%, 23% to almost 41%. And obviously, thanks to, education, more participation, the number of hours is also almost doubled. So that should give us some tailwinds compared to the headwinds that we are having with the population pyramid shifting. Very quick slide on, just on capex. Large part of our capex continues to be on building and, not on plant machinery. If we can kind of change that trend, again, it will be great for India. This is a 2024 slide. It's actually a very positive slide, because it shows not just government spending, it shows the private sector spending. The government data comes with a bit of lag. I think 2025 will be softer, and there are reasons why RBI made the cuts and all of that. But overall, it's a positive story. One thing we are seeing stress is on the center. The center is maxed out. For the last 2 years, the capex by the government has been about 10 to 11 lakh crores. Sometimes they have the money, they just don't have the bandwidth to be able to spend the money. So what we are seeing is a push from the center to the states to pick up the mantle. So again, which is again great for MSME, because you have more access to state than center. So please do reach out. You can see some of the states, obviously in the first graph, Andhra Pradesh, AP spent a lot. But despite that, you can see the base for most of the states, is effectively high, and we see this trend continuing. That's just a graph to show you where states are spending their money. So do talk to your local politicians. I think, again, we have to be thankful to the government. While there are enough reasons to always crib about a government, we have a government over the last 10 years that is really building infra, right? The Sagarmala project, the Bharatmala project. I think there is a Gorakhpur Siliguri highway coming up, which is going to half your travel time, right? All of this helps your business. Udan, 4 crore effective people will fly, 90 new airports coming up, right? So Bombay-Delhi corridor, that's $200 billion of spending there. All of that trickles down finally to MSME, either in terms of business, or once it's ready, for example, hospitality, airports, helipads, it's only going to benefit this sector. And what I think is great is that the government is also building the digital stack. We've got Aadhaar, we've got UPI, we've got FASTag coming in now on all highways. You've got smart metering coming in. You've got ONDC, you've got OCN for credit. Everyone's credit comes onto one place. So I think India is really building physical infra and digital infra. And I think as business people, that's what you want the government to do their job, which is, I think, they've done pretty well. How they've managed to do the digital infra is, some smart moves, the cost of internet, and, maybe you can take a leaf out of this. 1 GB of data, in the US is still $5 to $6. In India, it's only about 15, 20 cents. It's the cheapest in the world. And the reason it's cheap is they're not using this only for ads and promotions. Internet is being used to bridge the gap between the rich and the poor. So do take advantage of this, and by the way, all of the internet penetration in India, 98% has happened through smartphones. I was, with the treasurer of Bharti Airtel just last week, and, they're waiting now for obviously 5G coming in, carbon fiber going everywhere. Then it's Wi-Fi and Internet of Things that will happen, right? Your car, your house, your fridge, and imagine the boom that can happen then. So from a business perspective, do think about all of this. So the US, despite whatever we are saying, chugging along pretty well. They actually grew 3% last quarter. There were some adjustments, but still very, very positive growth. There seem to be some concerns on employment, but overall the US growth story is looking very strong. You can see the comparison with Europe. Europe is struggling, and comparatively the US is doing much better. If you look at Europe, if you see the rates, so you have US dollar rates at 4.5%, and you have European rates at 2%. So if you have money in the world, why would you send your money to Europe? Your money goes to chase yield, right? And then inflation in Europe is still not very low, it's still high. They don't have much more space to cut rates. How do they stimulate growth? They have a war in their backyard. I think whatever Trump is doing is probably helping stimulate Europe because, there's a big spend on defense that Germany has kicked off and it's bringing Europe together. So maybe in the long term, we should see some positivity. The country that is a bit worrisome is China. They have deflation at the moment. So imagine, like, we've not seen that. We can't think as Indians of deflation, your bread or your cup of tea costs the same for so many years. But China is having deflation. China is not having if you look at their problem is low revenue. Their collections are falling massively. So their fiscal deficit is blowing up. Our fiscal deficit is a positive story. China is a negative story. So think of, someone in China now. What does the government do, right? Your inflation is already so low. How do you stimulate growth? It's not interest rates that's going to help because there's no consumption story there in China. If you see the, spending also, all the spending that you're seeing in China is coming from the government. I was showing you in India how the private sector is picked up. In China, it's only the government spending. They can't cut rates beyond a point. Deflation is down. It is helping them in some way because from a war perspective, if tariffs are there, they're down 18% on their cost of goods. So it has offset some of the costs. Although Chinese tariffs are today at about 50-60%. All of you will have some import or export, so dollar rupee or you go for holidays, it does get impacted. We have a new RBI governor. What I just wanted to show you here is 2022. If you see the green lines and the red lines, that is how the central bank was managing volatility. They were not letting rupee go up too much, not letting it come down too much. Very stable period. Right now, new RBI governor, different policy, obviously more volatility also in the markets, but the band is wider. So what that is telling all of us is, if you're unhedged, do expect some volatility. You're not going to have the RBI come in and curb that volatility. So if rupee is on a sudden high, please as exporters sell. If it's low suddenly, please buy and protect yourself. Just one quick thing, we've seen a lot of news about internationalization of rupee. I keep getting asked this, is this the death of the dollar? Will rupee take over? I don't see that happening in a hurry. But what RBI is doing is a word called the internationalization of rupee. So earlier there was something called as NDF, which was the non-deliverable forward. Rupee is a domestic currency. You can only use rupees to buy tea in India. You can't take your rupees and even go to technically, Bangladesh or US and buy anything because the rupee is not valid there. But there's an NDF market, a non-deliverable forward market which trades. We were not allowed to trade in it. RBI opened that market up, which was a very big thing, never done for 25 years. They started Gift City. They have started billing in rupees. So if you are exporting to someone in the US, technically they can bill in rupees and then they can hedge onshore. And they can hedge offshore. And you can do NDFs onshore. So a lot of changes, by the RBI. I think this is great news that hopefully we are moving towards more acceptance of the rupee. You technically, if you're dealing with Middle East or China, ideally they're saying you might not even need to go through the US dollar. It's a slow trend, but it's picking up everywhere. Last few slides on India. Now you can see this one slide on the top left. That red slide showed how corporate credit was growing. But RBI did a survey, and that survey we get to see later, but that survey showed there was some dip in credit confidence. And obviously, you all have heard about the challenges in NPAs last year, and there was a curb on NBFCs. So there was loan growth also coming down because of, concerns of, overspending and all of that. And what RBI did is this year, all of you must have enjoyed the benefit of that, interest rates in India have come down 100 basis, 1%. It's a massive, move down, right? 25, 25, and then 50. And more importantly, what the new RBI governor has done is, he has also slashed our CRR, the money that we hold with Reserve Bank of India. He's put in so many things that the market is flush with money. There's about 2 to 3 lakh crores slushing around every day. By Diwali, there'll be some more coming in. So liquidity is there. If you want to borrow, RBI is saying rates are low and, there is ample liquidity. And obviously, hopefully, they're hoping for a credit impulse because of that. And this is a slide important for all of you because there is a take that interest rates are to niche aa rahe hain. Maybe we'll keep staying open and, wait for borrowing. But food inflation has already kind of bottomed out. And I think we are somewhere reached the bottom of inflation, which means inflation will start rising up. Long term, all of this tariffs, by the way, is going to be inflationary. So inflation could be back suddenly in a big way. Indian interest rates at 5.5%, US interest rates at 4.5%. It's not a very attractive story for India, by the way. Why would someone want to put money into India? So my point is, rates, I think we are kind of bottomed out. GDP, we are holding at 6.5%. As of now, the story remains. So that's a bit of a positive. But my two-bit suggestion to everyone is that if, interest rates stay high in the US, then Indian interest rates also will stay high. And if, obviously, inflation goes up, there is no reason for RBI to cut rates more. This slide just goes to show you that at 6.5 also, look at where India stands head and shoulders above almost rest of the world. There are barely 3 countries that are, in the top 4% bracket, right? So takeaways, tariffs, good or bad, they're here to stay, big part of your life. This 50% tariff, I hope it's temporary, it's negotiation because not Section 232. 28th August is the deadline. I believe on 25th there's a US delegation coming down. Hopefully something will get sorted. There is no globalization anymore. It's over. That phenomena is over. It's all bilateral agreements now. On Viksit Bharat, obviously India, we need to grow rich before we grow old because the dynamics are changing. Growth in productivity and capital expenditure by all of you, very, very key for that. Strong impetus from the government, both on infra and digital infra. On macroeconomics, I think that you will face headwinds because of what's happening in US. China will dump. They are going through some stress. And the more China gets curbed by the US, they will find other ways to push their goods. RBI with all of these cuts is given the kind of morphine or dosage that you need, adrenaline. So I think the second half for India should be, very, very positive. And from long-term perspective, I think it's a great story for India. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Vijay, for that extremely insightful presentation. MSMEs have gradually evolved into becoming the backbone of the Indian economy, contributing not only to the GDP, but also providing large-scale employment and regional development. With that, we bring to you a few of our own clients who will share their insights and thoughts on MSMEs, powering the $10 trillion economy. We have Mr. Ratul Mukhopadhyay, Executive Vice President, Small Enterprise Group, Axis Bank, moderating the highly engaging panel discussion with our esteemed guest panelists. Welcoming Mr. Ratul Mukhopadhyay onto the stage. So our first panelist is Mr. Rakesh Agarwal. He is the Director of RS Group. Mr. Rakesh Agarwal has been serving as Director RS Group for over 2 decades. RS Group is one of the largest manufacturers of billets, strips, and hollow steel products in Eastern India. The group company is also a pioneer in the development of organized logistics parks in Dankuni and Siliguri under the flagship Ma Ambe Group, catering majorly to the FMCG, pharmaceuticals, EV companies. The group is well known for its constant innovative endeavors under the visionary leadership of Mr. Agarwal. His talents transcend beyond the business world. He is also a spectacular sportsperson and has won many accolades and recognition for his active participation in badminton and squash at various esteemed clubs in Kolkata. He constantly encourages and supports young players to reach their full potential through his personal mentorship. Welcoming Mr. Rakesh Agarwal onto the stage. Our second panelist is Mr. Sumit Mitruka. He is the founder and CEO of Summit Hotels and Resorts Private Limited. He is an alumnus of North London University, and his hospitality journey started with Hilton Hotels in London, where he earned the foundations of world-class hotel operations. In year 2009, driven by his vision to transform the mountain tourism in India, he returned home and he founded the Summit Hotels and Resorts with a single property in Gangtok. His focus was clear, offering clean, comfortable stays with warm, heartfelt hospitality at fair prices. Under his leadership, Summit grew into India's largest leased hospitality chain with 30+ properties across the Himalayas, creating opportunities for local communities and redefining affordable mountain holidays. Welcoming Mr. Sumit Mitruka onto the stage. Our third panelist is Mr. Shyam Kumar Agarwal. He is the founder of Shyam Agarwal and Associates, a distinguished CA professional with over 25 years of experience in the fields of audit, bank finance, and direct taxation. He has made significant contributions, not just within the financial domain, but also across various social and institutional platforms. Currently, he is the chairman of the Income Tax Study Group of the Siliguri Tax Bar Association and plays a vital role in shaping tax practices and knowledge sharing among professionals. Welcoming Mr. Shyam Agarwal onto the stage. Thank you, Ratul, and all our panelists for this extremely engaging session. Over to you, Ratul.
So, good evening, everyone. And I think it's a wonderful time to be in Siliguri. And as my name suggests, I'm from this part of the country only. And unlike my two predecessors who spoke, I think I've come to this place many times. And every time it's been a pleasure. Okay, especially now that the monsoons are in full swing. So we start our panel discussion with a very basic question. And, we believe in the fact that every entrepreneur has a very inspiring story. So probably this has been asked to you many times, Rakesh ji, your journey. Please share with the group.
Good evening, everyone. I was born and brought up in Siliguri. My schooling was in Siliguri and did my college in Calcutta from St. Xavier's. So we started with a small manufacturing unit in Siliguri and then shifted the scales. When we were in Calcutta, over a period of 25 years, there has been a drastic change in the entire scalability, in the entire economies, the size, everything. There has been a change. The biggest challenge that I've seen throughout the journey was taking the entire business from the unorganized segment to the organized segment.
Okay.
So I was basically into iron and steel when we started. The need of the industry or the requirement was it worked on till 2002, 2003, everything worked on the unorganized sector.
Yeah.
So it was a big challenge how to convert this unorganized sector into the organized sector. Together with that, the challenges were also related to putting the principles of management into practice, the decentralization of power, the delegation of power. So these were the challenges which I faced, but by God's grace, I've overcome all those, and from a micro to small, and then we have evolved to a medium enterprise.
Yes. Well, many congratulations, and
thank you.
You've been an avid sportsman, and thank you for sharing your playbook with the house. So Sumit ji, please take us through your journey. I think you had a degree abroad, and then you worked for a very brief time at Hilton, and then you set up your own, starting in 2009.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Good evening, everyone. So, like you rightly said, I worked for hotels abroad, and then I came back to my hometown, and I knew exactly what I wanted to do. So, I felt there was a big gap in the market, and this is something that all the people needed. So, if you wanted to go for a mountain vacation, or if you wanted to go for a holiday, either you would land up in cheap lodges or very, very premium hotels.
Right.
So there was a gap where people could just stay in hotels which are honest, which were priced, which they could afford. So we tried to solve this gap, wherein you would have a clean room, hospitable staff, good shower. So that's how we started. We started with the humble beginning of one hotel in Gangtok, which was a 16-room hotel which I took on lease. And then as we started seeing business growing, we realized that these customers or guests who were traveling to one hill station, they would travel to multiple hill stations.
True.
So that's how we put the dots together and we started the circuit business. So if somebody would come to Gangtok, they would also go to Darjeeling, they would go to Pelling, they would go to Lachung, and that's how a cluster of hotels started opening up. And once we were done with this entire circuit and we had a hotel in all the locations in this region, we thought why not to repeat this model across the country. So, everything is very easy in your home ground. So I thought why not test this model outside. So that's how we started a few hotels in Himachal, Uttarakhand, Assam, Meghalaya. We also started in Kerala, which we no longer operate, and then in Goa. And we also are looking now to segment the brand. We are soon starting a hotel in Puri and one in Ujjain. So I feel that there is a similar gap in the temple tourism or pilgrimage tourism, and that is what as a brand we are looking to expand now. So with one hotel now we have around 35 hotels.
So you'll have your footprints across. You will have your footprints all across the country very soon.
So we are primarily looking at doing leisure and also trying to solve a problem because you already have very big, large brands which are doing what they are supposed to do. So we are trying to find a niche where, we are not like the budget, not the luxury, but something in the mid-scale.
Yeah, so I think I shared that line from your website and it's very interesting. So it talks about you want to be present, you are there from the misty hills of Darjeeling and Gangtok to the golden beaches of Goa and into the wild heart of Kaziranga. I think it was very inspiring and it's a great, great line.
Leisure is all about mountains, beaches, rivers, wildlife. So we have been successfully able to cover all four of this.
Okay. Thank you. Yes, Shyamji, take us through your journey.
Good evening. At the outpost, I would thank the management of the Axis Bank for inviting me in this panel.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. I am a patent chartered accountant practicing in Siliguri for the last 25 years in the field of taxation, audit, and finance. And we have clients from all various segments, especially from real estate, hotels, trading, manufacturing. We have all the clients, we serve them with a full satisfaction and practicing over here only.
Thank you, sir. So we have also seen, I think when I used to come as a kid, Siliguri was more of a gateway. But today, as you see the city, it's a destination. It's more of a destination. Of course, it operates as a gateway also, gateway to the northeast. So coming back to you, Rakesh ji, I think, so from steel to logistics solutions, logistics parks, so how important is innovation if you want to be a successful MSME?
Innovation that may be like from the digital aspect, that may be from the mechanical aspect, but it's essential because with the change in time, the technology changes. The technology changes, and if you're not adapting to those technologies, so you're left behind in the feasibility cycle.
So, sir, your family was into manufacturing of steel. So, what made you come into this logistics business? I mean, what was the starting point?
Because we were into iron and steel industry, the infrastructure requirements of any industry, that was a part and parcel of the industry. So, how it all started was we had to get materials in bulk to Siliguri, and the factory campuses were small.
Okay.
So to store those materials, we built up storage spaces. And those spaces, when we built up, so there was an idea if we can translate that into a commercial
thing. So you
thing.
sensed an opportunity there.
Yes. So that was how it all started. So we took a leap there. Without any agreements, we built a good infrastructure. The idea was to build an infrastructure wherein all the basic necessities for a working of any logistic park or anything, those those were taken care of.
Okay.
So that is how we started this.
So you have currently 2 logistic parks, one at Siliguri and one at
I'm
Dankuni.
operating logistic parks in Kolkata and in Siliguri.
Okay.
So from like 20,000 square feet odd space in the first year of construction, now I'm having around 2 million square feet of rental spaces.
That's great. That's great. So Sumitji, I'll come over to you. And again, I browsed your website extensively. So it talks about providing immersive local experiences. You know, so in the tourism industry, in the hospitality industry, how important is that? And how has your group taken that forward?
So, not only local experiences, I will talk about local destinations also.
Please, please.
So, like after we were already in the mainstream destinations like Darjeeling, Gangtok, Pelling, I realized that people are not going to Darjeeling to see Darjeeling. They're going there for the weather and to experience the local culture there. So, you know, if you have a hotel which is accessible, which has good weather, there would be business. So earlier the concept was that there is a demand and then you create supply. Now it is if you create supply, the demand automatically comes.
Wow, that's a new thing. I mean, you have practiced it across locations?
Yes, we recently around 1 year ago, we started a hotel in middle of nowhere.
Okay.
That is in between Siliguri and Kershaw. Okay. There is a small place called Kalimati, near Tindharia.
Yeah, yeah.
And I think that is one of the highest occupied hotels we have. Okay. Recently, we started a hotel in Lamahata, middle of nowhere. So people are going there as long as it is accessible, as long as it has good weather, and especially places, offbeat places, they offer more local experiences. And another thing that I would say, like you must have heard about homestays. Everywhere homestays are popular. So people are not going for the homestay, they're going for the destination. So if any destination people are going to an homestay, that destination is ready for a hotel to be built there. And more local experience can be felt in these kind of places.
So you're gathering market intelligence also about the occupancy or the increase in homestays and then probably selecting your next location where you want to expand.
Yes, every decision that we take is obviously based on data. So we are now locating which homestays are seeing more traffic, and people are choosing their homestays based on what local experiences they can experience there.
Okay.
And we are already looking at opening 1 or 2 hotels in these offbeat locations. And along with these locations, when we open a hotel there, the whole economy also benefits. Mm-hmm. So the moment a hotel is open in a place middle of nowhere, you immediately see local employment coming in, you see local suppliers coming in, local transport system coming in. So the entire economy benefits with that.
Okay. Thank you. So Shyamji, you are a practicing chartered accountant in Siliguri, and I'm sure you must be interacting with so many people, advising them. So how are some of the schemes which the government has launched, CGT, MSE, there are some state government schemes also, subsidy schemes. So how do we pass on the benefit to the MSMEs? I mean, how do they remain updated and at the top of the game as far as these schemes and benefits are concerned?
See, to have the benefit of the scheme, we should have a clear accounts, bankable accounts, transformation to bankable. What I want to say is that all our accounts should be not in cash, it should be bankable.
Second, so people are following that advice? Because till some time back, cash used to be the favorite mode of, transaction.
Now they are compulsory at coming to this thing, because now, since we invention of digital payment and all, they are now coming to banking channels, basically. And the second thing is that they all have to file their returns in time, GST, income tax.
Be compliant all the time.
Be a compliant person. Then you have to have a clear track record in civil and all. Once we have, if anybody has not taken a loan, if you take a short-term loan, pay it in timely, so they have a great track record on the civil also.
Okay. So how important is financial literacy? Vittya Shiksha?
Yeah, it is very important compared to take the advantage of these schemes and all. If we don't have financial literacy, we cannot take advantage of these schemes.
Right.
So people should take care of that they have the proper advice and take the proper advice from the local chambers, from the district industry court people or the chartered accountants, and do their banking systems in a proper manner.
So as Mr. Shetty showed in his presentation, that large corporates, mid corporates, they have easy access to funds. But for that small and micro customer, what is your advice?
To be more bankable, to do their tradings in bank systems and prepare balance sheet and file all the returns in times, so that their credit rating goes good and they get a easy access to the loan.
Okay, thank you. So, Rakesh ji, I think there's a lot of activity in and around Siliguri. IT parks are coming up, convention centers are coming up, industrial zones. So, how will this boost local MSME business? What is your opinion?
The major shift that we have seen in and around North Bengal is tea tourism. As we have already seen after COVID, everything has picked up. There were few properties here now. There have been a lot of properties of every scale coming up. The occupancy level.
You remain committed to Siliguri because you visit almost every week. You are doing to and fro from Kolkata to Siliguri. So you see a bright future for your organization as well?
Definitely, Siliguri, still if we say, so the one thing that Siliguri lacks is a major investment in the IT sector. Mm-hmm. With the kind of young and educated manpower available in and around Siliguri.
And there are a lot of good engineering institutes also?
Yes, there are, but the IT sector is still yet to pick up. Because if there are some industry and regional specific shops given to this particular industry, so it really has a very, very bright future in it.
Okay, thank you. So Sumit ji, I think you're running a big chain of hotels, and how important is going digital? And people are talking about AI. So how do you see to implement all these in your line of business? And what is your advice for MSMEs? Because is it a cost or an investment? I think that is something people keep on thinking when it comes to going digital.
So I can talk about my digital experience.
Yeah, please do.
Because I just saw such great presentations, so I should not give too much advice on digitalization. But we have been a very digital company. Like in hospitality, you have dynamic pricing. So we have been doing dynamic pricing for last 12 years.
Okay.
Even now, I don't know if many SMEs, hoteliers are still doing dynamic pricing. And whether we decide to go digital or not, your customer is already digital. So if you don't go digital, you're going to lose on your customer.
Right.
And as an MSME, you don't have to become a tech company. I see a lot of people go wrong trying to, develop a software or create a technology. There are off-the-shelf technology softwares available which you can easily take, adopt, and use it for your business. So you can just start small. Without technology, it's impossible to scale. And you can just start with the basics, just update your Google listings, do WhatsApp marketing. Digital, without going digital, no one is going to scale. And even like a small example, like I haven't signed a check in the last 8 to 9 years.
I can agree with you.
so even signing a check, I think you're not digital.
Yeah.
So all of you are bankers here. I don't see why we need checkbooks anymore. So if you are signing a check, I think you're not digital.
So I can tell you from my experience, 20 years back, we came out, Axis Bank, UTI Bank, those days. We were one of the first banks who had come out with AdPart check. And that used to be our USP. Today our USP is our mobile app, which is one of the most liked apps in the Play Store. It has a ranking of 4.8, rating of 4.8. So times have changed and you are correct. I think digitization is very important. So Shyamji, what advice do you give to people who come to you on digitization, going digital, filing things online? So what is your...
We have to go digitalization because there are many government benefits also. Like in income tax, we have a section 4480. If normally there is a turnover is below 5 crores, if you is non-digitalized, then you have to pay a tax of 8% of your turnover. Otherwise, you can pay 6%. So you have savings on tax also. Once you are digitization, your savings on tax. The other issue is that once we are digitization, is a great track record is built up for the bankers. They can check it for the other stakeholders in the of governments. They can also verify the data, and accordingly, your assessment is done in a proper manner. For GST, is a very positive fund. Digitization is must for them because they can collect your taxes correctly. Otherwise, they can put any charges on you.
You're right. Thank you, sir. So, Rakesh ji, I'll come to you at the end. So, Sumit ji, I'll come to you straight away. I think I was in Guwahati yesterday and I heard that about 8 or 9 new 5-star properties are coming up. Same is the story with Siliguri. I think 7, 8 properties are coming up. So, how do you see the future of tourism industry, hospitality industry going ahead? I mean, people are investing a lot.
So, like I just said before this, if you create supply, demand automatically comes.
Right.
So, the living example is this hotel that we are sitting in. It is in middle of nowhere, and they built a big 150-room hotel, and people from all over the country are coming here for destination wedding. And I don't know why in the world would somebody come to Siliguri for a destination wedding. I was once in Bangalore, and somebody said, we are going to Siliguri for a destination wedding. The only reason is because this hotel was created. It is not that Siliguri, they had to go to Siliguri to do the wedding.
Right.
So now these 10 hotels that are coming up, obviously they have inspiration from here. And Siliguri being in a very strategic location, it has a lot of MICE capabilities. We are surrounded by states like Bihar, which is a dry state, due to which a lot of weddings or events or corporate events are preferred here. We also have neighboring countries like Nepal and Bhutan. So a lot of weddings of Nepal is happening here. So
I also wanted to know, since I come from this part of the country, how is North Bengal, tourism in North Bengal, particularly mountain tourism, still relevant? So many people come. What is the reason?
if you talk about mountains in India, then what do you think? Kashmir is disturbed. Himachal has a lot of road journey. Uttarakhand is again a lot of road travel. South India doesn't have really hills. If somebody from this region goes to South India, like I was traveling to Coorg, and I'm fond of driving, so I started driving. I reached Coorg and I didn't even feel the mountain at all.
Okay.
So if you look at mountains, Darjeeling, Sikkim and North Bengal are the most accessible or the best accessible mountains in India. We might underestimate that, Darjeeling is not, it's congested, it is bad, Sikkim has this problem, that problem.
Right.
But when you compare it with the other mountains of India, we are the best. So no matter what happens, people have to come here.
So tourism will always remain relevant.
It will always remain, and with the new infrastructure coming in place, the rail line being made to Sikkim, the roads being developed, the new airport coming up, tourism is going to be the key stakeholder in this region.
Okay. Yeah, please.
Just a week ago, the SJTA chairman over here had announced that 20 5-star hotels are coming up with a 5,000 crore investment in Siliguri. And Taj group of companies, Indian hotels, have announced 5 hotels in this area. 3 in Siliguri, 1 in Lataguri, 1 in Darjeeling.
Okay.
1 they already have in Kurseong and Sikkim. This is the way of tourism, basically.
Thank you. So, Shyamji, what is the future of, how do you foresee the future of MSMEs in Siliguri and North Bengal?
MSME are very good, subject to that they get that proper response, like they have a smart loans, money to them. Just loans, not loans. Loans should be growth-oriented, export credit, or loans which are, Siliguri North Bengal is basically a agro hub also. We have tea over here, we have sugarcane over here, we have corn over here.
Right.
The loan should be tailor-made to actually support this industry.
Okay.
Then we have good chances for, if you have a good marketing and digital marketing, and that if a person sitting in Kuch Bihar, craftsman, being able to sell his craft across the country or across the world,
right,
through digital marketing. There's no, or a simple Jalpaiguri tea estate owner selling his tea across the country through digital marketing.
Okay.
I think this will be a very good thing over here.
So it has a very bright future.
Yeah.
Okay.
Otherwise, we can also imagine that Darjeeling tea being sold as a global brand by a local enterprise over here.
Absolutely right. Absolutely
And
right.
we can also think that Siliguri becoming a logistical hub in near future.
Okay.
Because of the proximity to the so many countries and states, Siliguri is supposed to be a logistic hub. In fact, TVS has also invested around good amount of amount in Siliguri for the logistics. And Rakeshji is also there. He's already invested in this field.
Really, thank you. Thank you. So I'll come to probably the last question of this panel discussion. So Vijay started his presentation on tariffs. I would like to end mine. So Rakeshji, traditionally you have been a steel manufacturer. So what is it? I mean, are you worried, or should we be worried, or you are still optimistic, or you have a big enough market so that we can bypass some of that?
Today we are all talking about tariff because Trump has imposed 25%, then again threatening to take it to 50%. I'm into steel industry. I was importing a lot of materials, and let me tell you one thing. Last couple of years, there has been a steady decline in the imports, not only by me, but in the entire iron and steel segment.
Right.
India did not impose the financial tariffs, except for maybe China or a couple of other countries, but they did impose qualitative restrictions.
Right.
So that simply is like another way of tariff or restricting the import of any product. And as Vijay has already mentioned, that we have 18% of the world population, which more or less would translate into 18% of world consumption.
Right.
Vis-a-vis, we are having only 3% of world production.
Okay.
So maybe it's a pain to some segments in the short term, but going ahead with this kind of population, with this kind of consumption, I don't think it should be an issue.
You should not worry.
This maybe is a blessing in disguise for Make in India initiative.
Absolutely, and I would also agree with Brijesh. We will wait for 28th August to see what unfolds further. So thank you for participating in this panel discussion. It was a pleasure hosting you.
Thank you, Ratul, and all our panelists for this extremely engaging session. I would now like to call upon the stage Mr. Priyabrat Sharma. He is head of SBB Working Capital Loans, to extend a memento to our guest, Mr. Rakesh Agarwal. I would now request Mr. Ankur Billa, he is the National Credit Head for SCG and Bharat Banking, come up the stage to offer the memento to our guest. Requesting Mr. Vineet Khera, he is a Geography Head, CBG Liabilities, and Mr. Abir Mukherjee, he is a Geography Head for SBB East, to offer the memento to our guest, Mr. Shyam Agarwal. Request Vijay and Brijesh to join us on the stage for the photo session.
So on behalf of Axis Bank, a big thank you to our panelists and presenters. Your insights and spark new ideas for our MSME community. Please round of applause to all of you, please.